Hi everyone, this is Jill from the North Woods. How are you? I appreciate you being here. I hope you're enjoying this little experiment with going live. I hope it gives an opportunity for all of us to have a dialogue. You're welcome to ask me questions, put in your own comments, anything that you think about something or something that's been successful to you. I'm trying this out. If you don't get a chance to watch this live, let me know if a different time would be better. I do work from 10 o'clock Central Time to about 8 o'clock. It's not 8 o'clock. Let's say 7 o'clock Central Time. And I could do other times and make it work. I would like to have a dialogue if we can possibly do that. But I know it doesn't always work for everyone. I'm kind of torn about this. It's nice because, like I said, we've had comments and people talk about things. But also, I feel like I get a much more polished final product when I'm able to record it, edit it, put B-roll in it. So you let me know, which do you like better? Do you like the live sessions better, or do you like the pre-recorded sessions better? I'm trying to make this helpful to you. So what's interesting about it, let me grab a drink, is I couldn't do my labs after my doctor's appointment last week. Primarily because I was taking creatine and I was fasted. I was ready to do my labs. And I said to my doctor, I said, these are the vitamins I'm taking. Is there any reason why I shouldn't do my labs today? And he said, creatine takes a while to work its way out of its system. He's like, drink lots of water. Don't take it anymore and at least go 3 days without it because it can mess up some of your scores. And I had just been taking creatine. So creatine is something that women don't make a lot of. It's helpful for building muscles, but it's also helpful for brain things. I think that we're going to start seeing creatine being useful when it comes to age-related brain disorders too. Like I said, men make it a little bit more readily. Meat eaters make it better than vegetarians. And so people have various levels of it. And it's also, I learned today when I got my blood labs back, not the same creatine that's in your blood lab. So if your blood labs say, oh, you got a lot of creatine in it, that doesn't have anything to do with taking creatine. So it's a little bit not like, vitamin D levels and that. So my blood labs came back and they were good. My A1C was 4.9, which is fantastic. Last time it was 5.4. And before I went on Mounjaro, it was 7.6. So we have come down quite a way. My fasting blood sugar was around 80. I have been up some mornings and it was 70. And so the blood sugar is good. Cholesterol was good. My blood pressure was good. B12 was very good. And I don't know I know it has something to do with gallbladder functionality. Sometimes when you're overweight and sometimes when you're losing a lot of weight, and then people, of course, tie it to Mounjaro because you're losing a lot of weight, the gallbladder can get affected adversely, either by being overweight or losing a lot of weight. And so I think the B12 is a test. But again, I'm not a doctor, but I believe that that's what that is. But overall, good test scores on everything, and it came back great. The doctor then upped me to 12.5. I picked that up today. I still had one more shot left of the 10.0, which, like I said, at this point is doing, I'm sure it must be doing something, but again, my digestion is back to normal. The way I think about food is back to normal. Food started tasting funny to me. Like, I think I had superhuman taste buds when I'm on Mounjaro, and that has slowly gone back to normal. And food now even tastes just as weird. It's kind of funny. It tasted weird when I was on Mounjaro, but now I'm not used to certain things tasting the way they do. Like, I started being able to taste salt. Like I said, I could taste every granule of salt. That has calmed down, and I can actually tolerate a little bit more salt, which is probably not good. And I can basically taste. Was tasting chemicals and things. Like if I put the drink packets in my bottles of water, I got a very strong chemical taste out of it, and that has gone away. The biggest, most shocking thing to me, and I mentioned this last week, is ADHD has come back, roaring back. My friend says, man, you are in a state. And I didn't quite expect that it would come back this hard. The interesting thing about that to me is I'm still taking Mounjaro, right? It is just not helping with ADHD the way it did when the dose was working for me. So that means in my head, I was kind of thinking, maybe I will stay on Mounjaro forever because it's helping with my ADHD. But that it's not going to. It's not going to, because as you get used to the dose, the ADHD effects go away. It makes me think about all the other side effects that people get, help with addiction and other types of kind of mental behaviors, dopamine behaviors, that this is not a permanent solution. This is something, for me, takes me off the course of weight gain, impulsivity for a year. So for 13 months, or I've been off, right? And I am now with this new brain, and I can think things out, and my eating impulses have gone away. My spending impulses has gone away. So just as a recap, my drug, as I suspected, was not working since June. So we are now about 3 months that Mounjaro has not been working for me very well. But I have lost 10 pounds since I decided that Mounjaro is not working for me. Now, ways I knew is, like I said, ADHD came back. My food started coming back to me. Like, I started wanting different kinds of foods. And things like heart rate variability. If you have an Apple Watch, I'm going to do my presentation coming up in a couple of weeks that I did for this MAC conference. I'm going to talk a little tech about how I see things. But you can literally see your heart rate variability rebound up when Mounjaro is not working for you. You can look at the heart charts. My average heart rate, in my case, goes down. My doctor said in some people's cases it goes up, but in my case, I could see it. My heart rate starts dropping. My sleep has just been ultimate garbage since it stopped working, which is really interesting. 10.0, when I went on it back in February, knocked the stuffings out of me. I was tired. I would go hiking and I would just have to sit for a while because I was pooped. And it really did knock the stuffings out of me. And so I can tell, like I said, it's not there anymore. Everything is back to the way it was. But like I said, I still lost 10 pounds in the last 3 months, which is good. That means that's Jill doing it and not so much Mounjaro. I think that's my view of it. And the other part of it is that it gave me a chance these last 3 months to see how I would do on my own. And am I fixed? I don't want to say fixed. But am I capable of maintaining this weight without Mounjaro working on my own? And the answer has been yes. Like I said, lost 10 pounds in 3 months. Now, if I had a working dose of Mounjaro, that would have been around 20 pounds. I also calculated that I would be done with all of this somewhere at the end of the year. Now I'm kind of pushed out a little bit because I've not been losing weight at the weight I normally do for 3 months. So it is going to be a little bit longer, and now it's going to stretch a little bit almost to birding season again. So it's going to go into the spring, but I'm going to be pretty darn close. And again, my DEXA scan said that at 138, I should lose all the gut weight. That is the dangerous weight. And I would be 31% body fat, which is considered acceptable if I got to 127. So that's kind of my range of weight. I'm looking at 127 to 138, according to my muscle mass that I got from the DEXA scan. And so if you recall from last time, I talked to the doctor. The doctor was like, hey, why don't you quit now? Maintenance is the most important thing. And again, I've been thinking about that more seriously. He's right. What good is any of this if we put the weight back on? So maintenance is, of course, the most important thing. And so I agree with that. But we're going to go one more round. So 12.5 is sitting down in the refrigerator. And next Wednesday, I will take the first dose. And we will try to finish this off. I've been losing about 23 pounds per dose. And So I think that I will get pretty darn close to being at my goal weight. And if I lost 10 pounds on my own in the last 3 months, whatever little bit I'm not at by the time I get done with this dose, I think I can get there on my own. So we'll see how that goes. I might be the only human being who stops using Mounjaro voluntarily early. We'll see. But that's the idea. And I think that's my plan right now. So I was thinking a lot about these 3 months and what I've been doing now that I know that the training wheels are off a little bit. And I think that Mounjaro has been great. It helped me lose weight, absolutely. It helped my ADHD. I mean, there's a million things I can tell you that Mounjaro has helped me with that I'm just so grateful for. But this time has taught me a few things. First of all, I can now see the delta. The delta means the change between having ADHD, having it go away, and having it come back. I know now how much of me is ADHD and how much is just me. I can tell now the difference between it. Mounjaro also taught me what I'm addicted to, because I lost my addiction to Diet Coke. My last Diet Coke was the day I took my first shot. Guess what? That has not come back. I have been off of it for now 13 months. I have no urge not only to drink Diet Coke or to not drink Diet Mountain Dew, which is what I used to be addicted to, or any of them. I don't really feel like drinking pop. That's what we say in the Northwoods, or soda at all. I bought this 12-pack of every Christmas. 7-Up comes up with a Christmas flavor. And I bought a 12-pack of that, and I haven't had any of it. It's sitting all there just in the case, and I just have lost the urge to drink pop. And that's pretty remarkable to me, because I was pretty addicted to it in general. I wondered how much I was addicted to podcast. I worried that maybe my love of podcasting was me being addicted to podcasting. Maybe I just like talking, which I do. But it turns out I still love it. So not an addiction, something I actually like. Listening to podcasts, interestingly enough, I used to be a compulsive podcast listener, and that has not been as compulsive for me. I can actually sit quietly and not listen to a podcast, not listen to anything. And that's been good for me. So I found out. So like I said, slowly but surely, I'm just sort of learning about how my brain works. A lot of people talk about food noise. My best friend has a huge food noise problem. She hears the voice of food calling her. When she is done with a meal, she thinks about what her next meal is going to be. That was never my problem. But she's thin, and that's because she's very, very active, and she monitors it and makes sure that she doesn't put on too much weight. For me, it was the impulsivity of ADHD. It was more like an adventure. How about a steak? How about a cookie? Should we make some ice cream? Maybe we should get some soda. Maybe we should get some more soda. Maybe I should get 13 flavors of this and that. And, it was more like this impulsive behavior that I was having. And so now that I understand that, because Mounjaro, like I said, put me on training wheels for all those months, let me observe my own behaviors, I understand it better now. And so now when Jill is having her ADHD moments where she feels like something impulsive, I am looking towards other things. I could play some quick Minecraft. I love Minecraft, just get a little hit of a game. I play No Man's Sky. It's available on Mac. I can play No Man's Sky just for a little bit and kind of get it out of my system. There are other ways that I can get that dopamine hit, I can get that impulsivity thing out of me without going and getting some food. And so I have not returned to overeating because of impulsive behaviors. I have not gone to overspending because of impulsive behaviors. I have now learned when I'm getting that call to do something else. And so I'm having what I'm kind of calling my box of toys. I know I'm kind of thinking of a name for it, but a list of things that when I'm feeling antsy, I could go to that are perfectly inane, that won't hurt my budget, that won't hurt my food, that won't hurt me in any sort of ways. And if you have ways that you distract yourself when you feel like getting impulsively eating or impulsively shopping, you can let me know in the chat channel. I'd love to hear what you're doing, but I have now learned that call because I didn't have it for so long. And when it came back, I'm like, there's the siren's voice. I can hear it calling to me. And so now I have my box of toys, which are not literal toys, although I do have some toys. But I now understand myself better, so I go find something else to do. I have a million things to do in this house because I have done every craft known to man. I can find something else to do, and I have. So that has not come back. So the drinking soda hasn't come back. Impulsive behaviors that have caused me negative ramifications hasn't come back. The other thing is that I'm being very careful with food. So here's what's been kind of interesting to me is I did some research because, okay, so last week I just really felt like Kraft mac and cheese. I was having a real rotten day as you saw when I was recording the last thing. I was on call. There was a work crisis, and the next day I was tired. I was up till 2 a.m. that night with that work issue, and I decided to make mac and cheese. Okay, so I made mac and cheese, and I used to be able to eat the whole box of mac and cheese in one sitting. But maybe sometimes when I felt guilty, I split it into two. But I could, if I wanted to, eat the whole one. I got maybe a cup of mac and cheese, which I think is a quarter of the box in. And I was like, oh, I'm so full. I'm going to be sick. So then I started thinking, well, maybe, they always talked about how your stomach shrinks when you're on a diet, and so now you can't eat it. And can overeating cause you to have an increased size stomach? The answer is that if you eat large portions over and over again, the stomach does adapt by stretching and can get a little bit bigger over time. More likely is that it disrupts the systems in place, the cues in place that says you're full. And I don't know about you, but I was always that person who could eat to the point where I started feeling sick afterwards. My friend and I would go out to eat, and then I would finish the whole meal, and then I would get in the car and go, ugh, I shouldn't have had that whole thing. I feel sick now. I did that quite often. And what happens is as you overeat extensively, the hormones in your brain stop responding in the same way. We talk about insulin sensitivity. We lose the fullness message sensitivity too, partially because we do it so often that our brain just ignores it. Part of it too is that if you're like me and had a bunch of insulin swimming around in your body, that insulin disrupts normal hormonal communication in your brain. That's what led to my surgery, where I had to get surgery. And because what happens is your hormones get all messed up. And so essentially I had a hysterectomy. I'll just say it that way. Because the signals in your brain get so messed up, your body just gets out of whack. It's not just with food noise. It's not just with fullness noise. It is with also your hormones for being a woman or for probably being a man. I don't know much about being a man, but you know what I mean? They all get distorted. And so you start losing signals from your regular hormones. And so the fullness goes away. You stop feeling full. I remember when I lost weight before, my stomach hurt. And I'm like, why does my stomach hurt so much? And my trainer's like, well, are you hungry? And I'm like, maybe that's what that is. I hadn't been hungry for so many decades, I didn't even know what it was anymore. So that's what happens too, is that maybe the stomach got a little bit larger, but we became desensitized to our normal messages of hunger. And our brain just wasn't, it's not like you were ignoring it. It's your brain doesn't even react to it anymore. So chances are that's what it is. So I can't eat. I can't eat a quarter of what I used to eat. I went out with my friend to our favorite restaurant, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get the sandwich I used to love so much. I couldn't. I ate about half of it, and I just left the other half sitting there, which I felt real terrible about, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to go back to the place where I could eat a ton of food, right? This is something valuable to me. If I feel full, this is great, because this will help me limit, without surgery, how much I eat. So this is another gain that I got from this Monjaro experience. I now get full, and I am not planning on abusing that so that that goes away. My first reaction was I was going to just finish that sandwich because darn expensive sandwich and I should just finish it, you know. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not going back there. The mac and cheese, I ate a little bit that one night and I ate a little bit the next night and I tossed the rest out. So, because it didn't really actually taste very good, because I also haven't had processed food in a really long time. So that's the idea. So that was another gain that I've had since this Monjero experiment. I can't eat what I used to eat. Now, the other part of it too is that I understand now how much I can eat and still feel fine. So not, how do I want to say this? I used to think to feel okay. You know, like if I'm going to have a lunch, this is the size lunch I have to have in order to feel okay for the rest of the day. And that turned out not to be true, because I have been able to eat, let's just say, 2 pieces of toast. I get this avocado smash stuff from Costco. That's plenty of a lunch. But before I would think, oh, I need a little bit more to lunch, or I'm just going to get hungry later. And then if I get too hungry later, then I'll overeat. And now I've learned that 2 pieces of avocado smash on toast, totally fine. I have learned that just having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a perfectly fine lunch. I can eat that and have it for lunch. This is how much chicken I can eat and feel totally full and survive as a human being. Now I understand. And so I am not expanding that at all. I am eating the same amount of food that I ate when Monjero was kicked in full bore. So I have not increased my eating. I'm not getting food creep. Food creep? I don't know if that's a real word. Creeping up. I'm not creeping up on my calories. I am keeping that as well. So now Monjero has taught me how much I should eat in order to be a successful living human being. So that's really good too. And did have some fun things during this 3-month break. I used to love popcorn, but here's the thing. I am no longer allowed to have all starch meals. That, like I said last week, was my favorite thing. A big bowl of pasta, a big bowl of popcorn, a bowl of rice. I loved those types of meals. Now I'm allowed to have it, but I sort of set myself up as a ratio. I can have 1 part carb to 2 parts protein. And so I pre-set up my plate ahead of time. I mentioned this in food eating strategies. I'm doing that now. And so if I do have some rice, it might be like a cup of rice, but then it's 2 cups of protein. I also have vegetables with it, and I eat the vegetables first. I drink water first. I try to get myself feeling fuller more easily. I'm not also... I can't eat things as greasy as I used to eat them, primarily because my stomach can't hack it right now. I think mac and cheese was just a little too much for me, and I did not feel great. So that's the idea, is I'm going to start off by eating vegetables first, then going to the protein, then going to my little pasta world or my little rice world, and then eating that last. So I'm going to eat in an order that maintains all those things. And I'm going to eat for my rules 80 grams of protein, 25 grams of fiber, and I drink 4 of these every day. And we're sticking with that, but I'm going to eat those better things first. And then the other part of it is I have healthier snacks around here. So I was worried that once I started getting hungry, so I do have some nuts and some cheese cubes around here. I'm in the North Woods. We love cheese, but also like having some kinds of chopped up vegetables around. So I have snacks around that are a little bit better for me so that I can keep my mind on that. And when looking at my diet, my future diet, I'm not going to vary, I think, much from what I'm eating right now. I might go out with my friends and have something. I had a root beer float. That was my 3rd big treat that I had, and I thoroughly enjoyed my root beer float. And I wanted to get a sundae, but I thought the root beer float seemed like a better middle ground. So I'm going to pretty much stick to my boring eating. I'm going to eat repetitively, just like I ate while I'm on Monjaro someday when I'm off Monjaro. And I do think my plan is at this point to come off of it. Like I said, had it always fixed my ADHD, I would have been inclined towards staying on it. But right now, I'm not planning on staying on it because it just it doesn't seem to work. So the plan that I have for my food is that, first of all, it's what you call stabilize. I am stabilizing right now. And I've proved to myself over the course of 3 months, I am stable. I'm not putting on weight, and I'm not overall, you know what I mean? It's going to be some weeks like it used to be. Some weeks you sort of put on a pound, and some weeks you lose a pound, and it's always just going to shift in this range. And it's just that's the way it's going to be. No one stays at the same weight all the time, but that's okay. And I'm going to enjoy myself when I go out with my friends, but not to the point of excess. I'm going to eat very stable things when I'm at home, and it's going to be some of the same things I ate now. Now, I'm going through recipe books right now and finding some new recipes I want to try when this diet is over. I found some good ones that I'm looking to try, and we're going to do that. I'm not doing it now because next week I'm going on 12.5, and I'm just going to hate food. I'm not going to say hate food. I'm just not going to feel like eating food, and I'm not going to feel like eating fish, and it's all going to go back again, I think, the way it used to be. But when I'm done with this, this has been a good test for me to know exactly what it is I feel like doing. And so, like I said, I'm going to look to make, I'm going to reintroduce foods very slowly. Foods that I used to like. Like I used to love a big steak. I am not going to eat a big steak again. Instead, I switched it. So the first theory is you want to replace, not ban. And so I'm replacing foods with better foods. So instead of having a bag of chips, I'm having pickles. You might not be for you, but find something salty. Maybe it'd be nuts or something like that gives you kind of that salt hit that's not so bad for you as potato chips or something like that. My steak, I used to love ribeye steaks. Now I'm getting these little 3-ounce flank steaks. Enjoy the heck out of them. They're perfectly fine. I don't feel sick when I'm done. And so I'm going to reintroduce normal foods very, very slowly. I'm going to repeat exactly what I've been eating and keep, I'm calling them anchor meals. I haven't really figured out what it is, but the idea that these are these core meals I'm eating, and I eat them because they're high protein, they're high fiber, they're relatively good for me. They're not Franken food that you couldn't read on your own unless you had a high school chemistry teacher tell you that. And I'm going to basically have repeatable habits. I hate to say that because I think people look at food as an adventure, but I believe that you can have a base of foods that you sort of rotate with so you don't get bored with them, but the idea is that you can eat them, repeat them, and maybe add this here, or, find a new sauce or find a new something that makes it a little bit more exciting, but make it repeatable. Make it something that you can do over and over again. And then the other part of it is that I'm going to focus on nutrition first. So once I get my full nutrition in for the day, everything that I'm supposed to eat, and I still feel a little bit like something, small treats. And we're going to put the word treats back into treats. So we got really used to it. And I mentioned this. When I was a kid, we got to drink pop on Super Bowl Sunday. We got to get a pizza only on Super Bowl Sunday. One time a year, we ate pizza. We used to go out to eat maybe 6 times a year. We did not have dessert with every meal. And now I think you sort of slide into these things as being regular. And we're going to put treats back into the treat status again. I'm going to have root beer floats when I go out with my friend, or maybe an ice cream sundae, but it's going to be rare and it's going to be a treat. And you appreciate it more when you actually return it back to a treat. I think, people who have desserts every day end up taking it for granted. And I know I did. And you stop at, let's say you get a big sundae. Have you ever done this? And you started eating a big sundae, And now you're watching TV, right? So you're watching TV and you don't even remember beyond like the first 3 or 4 bites that you're even eating it anymore. Right? You all of a sudden you ate it and then you look down and the thing is empty and you're like, oh, okay, I finished my sundae. We're going to go back to having treats be a treat for us. And so those are some things I just wanted to tell you about, some successes. All of this leads me to believe that success is possible after this Mounjaro thing is done. If we have to leave it because maybe you were on a compounding situation, getting it from a compounding pharmacy, or maybe it's something you can't afford to do forever and you are going to have to stop at some point. I have high hopes after this 3 months that it's going to be okay. I was really scared that I was just going to put back the weight, and now I have some hope that this is going to be something we can manage as long as we don't go back to eating too big of meals, not stretching out our stomach, but let's say metaphorically stretching out our stomachs, ignoring all our signaling that's going on. And the worst thing of all, and I have to say that I think this is really the devil in all of this, is increasing our blood sugar. We have to try, whether we had diabetes or not, for this very constant blood sugar, not these huge spikes and then these drops, and then that causes us to overeat and then spike again. My friend I mentioned who has a lot of food noise, she's thin. She is not overweight, but she used to drink orange juice for breakfast, orange juice and cereal, which turns out to be like the worst breakfast you can have. So what happens is at the beginning of the day, you spike your sugar out of control. And then by lunchtime, you crashed. And so now you're overeating at lunch, trying to bring yourself back from the dead. And now your sugar all day long is just roller coastered. She gave up drinking juice for breakfast in the morning, and it changed her whole life to where she was suddenly like this all day. That's what we're going for. We're looking to even out our blood sugar all day long. And so I guess if I have the last piece of advice for you is eat in such a way that it's not a roller coaster. Like I said, on occasion, get an ice cream. On occasion, have a root beer float or, whatever, a cookie. But a treat. Rarely, that kind of thing. All right, everyone. I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments about anything I said out there. I'm going to just give you a moment if you have anything you'd like to say. All right, I don't see any comments yet. I appreciate you watching and being there and listening to this. Again, let me know, did you like the more polished videos with B-roll, or do you like the idea of this being live? You just couldn't attend at this time, or you'd rather have it at a different time? Let me know what you think. Would you rather just have open sessions where we could just talk about things, where I just don't go off on a topic and talk about something that I prepared for the week? And, let me know. And the idea is, too, that I am going, hopefully, to be done with this in 6 months. And so we're going to continue to talk about this and think about what I can do. I've seen people who have Mounjaro videos and then they eventually get to their goal weight and it makes the videos kind of weird because they're not taking it anymore. But they're still talking about it. Is that what you would like me to do? Would you like me to talk about other health issues and how we can stay healthy and get our health habits together? I'm interested in what works for you. Thanks so much. Have a great week. And like I said, put a comment in, tell me how your journey is going, or you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Have a great week.